the first human family for generations. We imagined prehistoric humans as lonely survivors, fighting every day in a brutal world where only the strongest could survive. But modern archaeology, anthropology, and evolutionary biology tell a very different story. The greatest advantage our ancestors ever developed wasn't sharper weapons or greater strength. It was each other. Around 200,000 years ago in Africa, our own species, Homo sapiens, appeared. The landscape was constantly changing. Rivers shifted, grasslands expanded, and animals migrated with the seasons. To survive in such an unpredictable world, humans needed more than intelligence. They needed cooperation. Unlike lions, humans had no claws. Unlike wolves, they couldn't outrun most prey. Even compared with other primates, they were physically vulnerable. Yet somehow, they spread across the entire planet. Scientists believe the answer begins with one simple idea: family. Early human groups were small, probably made up of closely related individuals who traveled, hunted, and gathered food together. Every member had a purpose. Adults searched for food. Children learned by watching. Elders remembered the landscape, the seasons, and the safest places to survive. Knowledge became just as valuable as food. One of humanity's greatest challenges was raising children. Human babies are born far more helpless than the young of almost any other mammal. They require years of constant care before becoming independent. Evolution turned this weakness into an extraordinary strength. Instead of relying on one parent, early humans likely raised children together. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, older siblings, and other relatives all helped protect, feed, and teach the next generation. Anthropologists call this cooperative breeding, and many researchers believe it played a crucial role in human evolution. Every day became a classroom. Children watched adults shape stone tools, gather edible plants, and read the tracks left by animals. There were no schools and no written language. Every lesson passed directly from one generation to the next. Long before civilization, the first classroom was the family. As children grew, they didn't learn by reading or listening to formal lessons. They learned by watching. Every movement made by an adult became an opportunity to understand the world. A carefully shaped stone tool, a basket woven from plant fibers, or a trail of footprints leading across the grassland all carried knowledge that had been collected over countless generations. This slow transfer of experience gave humans a remarkable advantage. Instead of every generation starting from the beginning, each one inherited the discoveries of those who came before. Culture was beginning to evolve alongside biology. Life, however, remained unpredictable. As seasons changed, food sources disappeared, and animal herds moved across the landscape. Families couldn't stay in one place forever. They packed their simple belongings, carried their youngest children, and began searching for new rivers, greener valleys, and safer campsites. These journeys demanded teamwork. Crossing rivers, following migrating animals, and building new shelters required planning rather than strength alone. Every successful move depended on trust. Adults protected the children. Elders guided the safest routes. Even the youngest members helped by gathering firewood, carrying small bundles, or learning the routines that kept the group organized. When evening arrived, the family gathered once again around the fire. It provided warmth, protection, and cooked food, but it also created something equally important: a place to learn. Around its light, children listened as adults explained where water could be found, how to recognize dangerous animals, and why certain plants should never be eaten. Modern researchers believe these shared moments helped shape the human mind. Language became richer. Memory became more valuable. Stories preserved experience long before writing ever existed. The campfire was more than a source of heat. It became the center of family life, where survival skills, traditions, and cooperation passed quietly from one generation to the next, preparing the children for the day they would lead families of their own. Finding a new home was only the beginning. Every unfamiliar valley brought new opportunities, but also new dangers. Before settling, adults carefully studied the landscape. They searched for fresh water, edible plants, animal tracks, and safe places to rest. Choosing the wrong campsite could place the entire family at risk. Once a suitable place was found, everyone worked together. Simple shelters were built from branches and animal hides. Firewood was collected before sunset. Stone tools were repaired for the days ahead. Even the smallest task helped strengthen the group. Hunting demanded the same level of cooperation. Success rarely depended on speed or strength alone. Hunters observed the wind, followed fresh tracks, and communicated through silent gestures. Patience was often more valuable than courage. By working as a team, they increased their chances of returning safely with food. When the hunt was successful, the reward belonged to everyone. Food was shared across the family, ensuring that children, elders, and injured members were cared for. This willingness to share became one of the defining characteristics of our species. Survival was no longer measured by the strength of an individual, but by the resilience of the entire group. As the children grew older, learning became more active. They practiced shaping simple stone tools, gathered firewood, and copied the daily routines of the adults around them. What looked like play was actually preparation for adulthood. Every mistake became a lesson. Every success built confidence. Grandparents also played a remarkable role. Their years of experience helped younger generations avoid dangerous plants, recognize changing seasons, and understand the behavior of animals. Modern evolutionary scientists believe that this sharing of knowledge may have greatly improved the survival of early human families. By the end of childhood, these young learners had inherited something far more valuable than possessions. They carried thousands of years of experience inside their memories. That invisible inheritance would one day help humans spread far beyond the African continent and eventually across the entire world. For early humans, childhood lasted much longer than it did for almost any other animal. While many young mammals became independent within months, human children depended on adults for years. That extra time allowed the growing brain to absorb an enormous amount of information, making learning one of humanity's greatest evolutionary advantages. Every day brought new lessons. Children copied the careful movements of experienced toolmakers, practiced weaving simple baskets from plant fibers, and learned to recognize the difference between safe and poisonous plants. These weren't formal lessons. They were part of everyday life, repeated again and again until knowledge became instinct. Learning wasn't limited to parents. Grandparents, older relatives, and other trusted adults all contributed. Around the camp, experience flowed naturally from one generation to the next. A child could spend the morning watching a parent shape stone tools, the afternoon gathering edible roots with a grandparent, and the evening listening to stories around the fire. Together, these experiences built the foundation of human culture. As families became more connected, cooperation expanded beyond a single household. Neighboring groups occasionally met to exchange useful stone tools, colorful mineral pigments, shells, and valuable information about changing landscapes. These peaceful encounters spread ideas across regions, allowing successful techniques to travel much faster than genes alone ever could. Over thousands of years, these small exchanges quietly transformed humanity. Better hunting methods, improved tools, and new survival strategies were passed from one family to another. Culture was beginning to evolve, carried not through DNA, but through communication, observation, and trust. Looking back, it's easy to focus on spectacular discoveries like ancient fossils or stone tools. But perhaps the greatest invention in human history was something much less visible. It was the ability to care, to teach, and to work together. Long before kingdoms, cities, or civilizations appeared, these simple family bonds had already changed the course of human evolution forever. As each generation grew older, the lessons they had learned were passed to the next. A child who once watched a parent shape a stone tool would one day teach the same skill to their own children. Knowledge no longer disappeared with one lifetime. It continued, growing stronger with every generation. Families also discovered that sharing was about far more than food. Experience, trust, and cooperation became resources just as valuable as water or shelter. A single observation about animal behavior, a safer way to make fire, or the discovery of an edible plant could improve the survival of an entire group. The more knowledge people shared, the greater their chances of overcoming an unpredictable world. Over time, cooperation reached beyond individual families. Small groups met peacefully, exchanged tools, pigments, shells, and ideas, and then carried those ideas back to their own communities. Archaeological discoveries from different regions reveal remarkably similar technologies appearing across great distances, suggesting that information was spreading through human contact long before written history began. This ability to learn from one another became humanity's greatest superpower. Unlike any other species, Humans didn't rely only on biological evolution. They also evolved through culture. Every generation inherited not only genes, but also the discoveries, experiences, and wisdom of those who came before. The family standing together on the African savanna could never have imagined the future that awaited their descendants. Their children would one day cross deserts, forests, and oceans. They would settle every continent except Antarctica. They would build villages, cities, and civilizations. They would create art, science, and technology. Every achievement would begin with the same simple foundation: people helping people. Today, every human being on Earth carries traces of that ancient story. The love between parents and children, the guidance of grandparents, the trust between friends, and the willingness to teach the next generation are not modern inventions. They are echoes of a survival strategy that shaped our species hundreds of thousands of years ago. The first human family may never be known by name. But their greatest legacy wasn't a monument or a written record, it was us.